Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. It's time for the luau, and so first we need to make a lay in Lucky Luau, a game by Cardlords. Lucky Luau is a set collection game where scoring depends on the order of your cards while you make a lay for the luau. The game plays in 20 minutes and is for 2 to 6 players. Jeffrey Bolts is the designer, with this being his first game published, and the 7th card game for Cardlords. The game is set up and should look like this. Players will randomly draw one card from the pile on their turn and either deciding to add it to their lay or throwing it back into the pile face up for potentially someone else to grab, or that player grabbing it themselves later. Players will start their lay in front of them, placing their cards from left to right, and the new cards added to the lay always will need to go to the right of any other cards. And the new cards added to the lay always need to go on the right side of all other cards. Each item added to your lay has its own way of scoring points listed on that card, but the majority of the cards score points when the item is next to a specific type of other item. For example, this yellow flower will score 2 points if it's next to another yellow flower. Now, since there are 3 yellow flowers here in a row, they will all score 2 points each. You won't be able to double count that middle card. With that being said, you'll be looking to pair up your cards with its requirement listed on the card. But collecting all of the same type isn't going to multiply your score. Each item has its own rules listed on the card of how it scores points. Each card shows how many of that type of card there are in the game on the top right. On the top left lists the possible points awarded by the card with the specifics of how those points are awarded shown in the text on the bottom of the card. The yellow flowers score 2 points if next to a yellow, green, orange, or rainbow flower. The pink flower scores 3 points if next to a pink, purple, orange, or rainbow flower. The blue flowers score 4 points for being next to a blue, green, purple, or rainbow flower. The red flowers score 5 points for being next to a red or rainbow flower. With those flowers I've mentioned, you can see that they get higher in points, but also when the points go up, the amount of those type of flowers in the game go down. The purple, orange, and green flowers are special flowers and have the ability to score additional points. The purple flower scores 3 points if next to a pink or blue flower, and 7 points if next to a pink and blue flower. The orange flower scores 2 points if next to a pink or yellow, or 5 points if next to a pink and yellow. Similarly, the green flower scores 2 points for being next to a yellow or blue, or 6 points if next to a yellow and blue. The rainbow flower becomes either a red, blue, pink, or yellow and will score as if it was that color. Tie leaves score 1 point if next to another leaf, and these leaves will show up 8 times in the game. Mega leaves will still let the tie leaves score a point if next to them, but they also score additional points equal to the number of leaves you have total on your lay. Kukui nuts are the only item that can be scored without being next to a certain item. These will score solely on the amount that you have on your lay. With 1, you will score 2 points. With 2, you will score 4 points. With 3, you will score 8 points. And with 4 of them on your lay, you will score 16 points. Each player starts with 3 cards to use at any time in addition to their normal action. Spacers. These act as a space holder, allowing you to keep a gap in your lay to place an item in that location later on. This card can be placed at any time, but must be placed in the order while stringing your cards. So deciding the one time that you want to use this is key. This item also will count as a card on your lay if placed and not replaced with another card for purposes of scoring guests, the fishhook, or the knife. The fishhook. This card can score you 10 extra points if you place it in the middle of your lay. 5 points if it's placed 1 card away from the middle. You can string this card before or after you draw a card, and it must be placed in order while stringing other cards. The knife. This card can cut 1 card from your lay. You will remove a chosen card, and this can be done at any time or even at the very end of the game. This might help you score additional points from a card that you added but isn't scoring any points, or help you score higher points with the fishhook, centering it in the middle. Now, in addition to trying to get the best flowers and items for your lay and using your tools in the best way possible, you will also be trying to impress the 3 guests coming to the luau. Each time that you play, you will have 3 new guests with 16 possible choices. Each guest lists a way to score bonus points. Each and every player can score these bonus points if they complete the objective on the card. Players will continue to pick up 1 card at a time, adding them onto their lays until there is no cards left. Players will then score points for placement of their flowers and items on their lays and add any bonus points achieved by impressing any guests. Whoever scores the most points has the most amazing lay, signifying that they are actually the special guest at the luau. The game is a fun, fast card game that still includes tough choices, changing the game each and every time that you play. For instance, do you take a certain card that you don't really need, as your previous flower won't score any points if you do, but you will make it harder for the other player who would love to pick up the exact flower that you drew? At first, I have to admit that I felt like players would almost always keep their drawn card, because why help other players have an increased pool of cards to choose from when you had to draw blind? But if you played like that, you would score almost no points, as the cards wouldn't score being next to random cards. So if players actually want to score the most points, they will all be placing cards back out into the pile. This increased visibility of certain cards in the pool also causes a point where players see enough cards out there that they might think to themselves that they might as well score some points instead of a blind draw. So the pile of cards will be fluctuating the entire game, increasing at points and decreasing at others. The different guest cards are also fun to put a small little spin on the game. You might decide to change strategy and go for certain cards when certain guests are at the party, when normally you might try to go after different flowers or items. Now, this copy you see here is a prototype, but if you have seen their other card games, their quality is set to match those with the plastic case and with some really nice looking cards. The game comes with a reference cards for each player to help show possible points and how many of each kind of card is possible in the game, as you probably won't benefit from a flower if there's no more flowers left in the game that requires it to be next to it. And also, the backside of the reference card includes many different scoring examples, with each card showing a different example. So each and every possibility is shown in one of the examples, so you won't have problems when you start scoring the cards. So invite your friends and family to make their lay for the luau in Lucky Luau, a game by Cardlords. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.